Look over at her, Nicholas. Walk together. Did you get that? Yeah, I did. Look.
Did you get his license plate?
I love that it was a cowboy on roller skates though.
And Willie Nelson. Can I throw a stick at?
Hey, I'm Madison from Rogue Indie Productions, and today we're going to be talking about how we shot our microfilm. So a microfilm, or basically what we're calling a microfilm, is a shorter version of a short film. And we filmed ours so we could all get used to the camera and working as a crew and just have something to edit and play with, because none of us have really done that before. So in our microfilm, there's really no plot. It's more about just capturing the movement and getting it from multiple angles. So ours was someone walking from point A to point B, and the script looks something like this. Our goal was to work as a team, get more comfortable with the equipment, and have something to edit at the end. We wanted it to work as close to like how a crew would work in a real filming situation as possible. That way we were like not as freaked out when we go to film something more serious. Since this was our first attempt, you can imagine it came out a little bit cringy, and the whole time I was saying that, it's like, it's gonna be cringy when we're done. And I was like, okay, I'm prepared for this, but no. It managed to exceed my expected levels of cringy. But anyway, before we go into more detail, I'm gonna go ahead and show you the finished microfilm. I believe it's about 50 seconds, 47 seconds, somewhere in that area, so it's very short. Here it is, and we'll pick it apart after. Please be gentle. So one of the first things I noticed in editing was the lighting. Going into this, we actually chose to film outside because we thought the lighting would be more challenging and it would give us an opportunity to kind of work around that. But we were so caught up in like the camera angles and how to work the camera that I think we just bit off a bit more than we could chew in that situation, because we pretty much, for the most part, forgot about the lighting. How's his face look?
Shadowy.
One thing I noticed was the lack of angles. So going in, I tried to plan as many angles and different like camera movements as possible, so we had more things to practice. But when I went to edit it, it still didn't feel like enough. So I would recommend, when you're setting up a new shot, getting some pickup shots in between. Like, I wish we had a couple more angles of his hand while he was walking, maybe some close-ups of the back of his head or the side of his head, his feet, just really anything extra to work with, because I discovered very quickly that it's better to have too many shots and angles to work with than not enough. The last thing, or at least the last thing I'm going to talk about, that we actually realized while we were filming, is we forgot to clear out our equipment in the background of the spin around shot. By the time we figured this out, the light was already going down. We didn't have enough light for another shot. The sun was going to be down by the time we tried to film it again. So we didn't have time to fix it, but we decided it was okay for the purposes of this exercise. However, next time, that's definitely going to be one of the first things we look for, is making sure we clear out equipment and crew out of the back of shots. Speaking of which, we also chose to film in a park, which was very crowded on that day. We chose the day because a lot of us were off of work, but we didn't think of how busy it would be because it was a Saturday. Microphone's on?
Bye.
Yeah. Microphone's on.
Bike.
Bike. Ready? Mic's on?
Wait, guys, there's a bike.
This is so bad. Okay, walk forward.
Oh yeah.
Just keep going.
They're just gonna.
Dun, 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 dun.
They're right behind us.
Okay, cut. So there were a whole bunch of shots that we got semi-successfully, but were unable to use because of people in the background. Walk. So if you're wondering how we went about this like production scenario, what we did was we printed out what I'm calling like a production I don't know, like a production notebook type thing. So these are the storyboards we were working off of. I had one copy of those in my notebook, but what everybody had was this handout here. And in this handout, we had the script. We also had the shooting order. So what I did was I went through and I numbered each line in the script for what shot that would be, and then I wrote down the order in which we'd film them. We went with the most difficult shots first. So our most difficult shot was the shot where we came up from his hand, panned up to his face, and then walked down the sidewalk and spun around. We got all of that successfully pretty much in the beginning. Got to the end of filming, we were ready to wrap, and then we realized we didn't film the part where it spun around his head. But everything else we filmed in the right order. I prioritized by what equipment we would be using, how complicated the shot would be, and how many actors would be in the shot. Usually you want to film scenes with more actors in them first. In this scenario, we actually shot a scene that only had one actor in it, but that's because it was the most difficult shot. In order to do that shot where it pans up and twists around, which is like my favorite, what we did was we focused on his hand. We were using like the shoulder rig. We quickly found out it actually took about 3 of us to properly operate that rig in the way we wanted it to work, because that thing's heavy, and also we were just moving it at a weird angle. We started filming a close-up of his hand, having someone holding the handle, me supporting in the front, and then Holly or Candace supporting in the back. Nina was holding the handle. And then we stepped to the left, started to pick up and walk up to his face. I would say stop when we had him in frame because Nina couldn't see where she was lifting to because of the angle of everything. Once we had that, we just all walked backwards. We had somebody else watching and making sure nobody was about to die or trip over themselves. And they would yell stop once we reached our mark. Then we all spun around to the right and then landed with Megan in the background. We also had somebody operating the boom pole just to test the audio. We didn't end up using it in the final short. It was more of just a test so we knew what the audio sounded like. But if you have access to a boom pole and a microphone, I would recommend incorporating that equipment into your workshop so that you just have experience moving as a crew, because that's a lot more complicated than just focusing on the camera. It was good to know like what to expect from that kind of shot. The next thing we did was the follow shot behind Megan's shoulder. So in this scene, she was supposed to walk towards Nicholas and Nicholas was supposed to walk towards her. And originally we had scripted that we were going to try to pull focus and practice that. What that means is to bring an object that's in the background into focus and then push that out of focus and bring an object in the foreground into focus. We have the follow focus thing, but we couldn't figure out how to put it on in the day of, and I hadn't had time to play around with it before, so that didn't really work out. We decided to go with a little bit of an easier shot and just keep the whole thing in focus as much as possible. We considered that another one of our more difficult shots because again, it involved the shoulder rig and all of us moving forward.
Wow.
Wow.
Reset.
Wow, reset.
Wow.
Wow.
We saved our tripod shots for last because we knew those would be the easiest, and they were. However, something simple that I overlooked was tape. Bring tape with you, like gaffer's tape, something that will peel up easy, like you know, that artist tape, or bring something for the marks so you know where your actors are standing so it's consistent. We ended up using lipstick.
Okay, so back to your lipstick.
Thank you, AJ. To mark off where Nicholas was supposed to be standing. Megan we could pretty much eyeball because she was just that one wide shot and the rest was over the shoulder, so it didn't have to be exact. Nicholas, because the two angles were kind of similar, we needed them to be relatively consistent. So something you'll notice if you're doing semi-complicated shots or even really simple shots that just involve an actor moving and needing to stop on a certain point, especially if you guys aren't used to having to watch for your marks and where you're going and that kind of thing, you'll be talking a lot while you're filming. Audio can be interesting, and I'm curious to see how that's going to work in the future, because I think the next short we're going to try to film is going to have a little bit more dialogue in it, because we had the microphone on at all times, but a lot of the audio wasn't usable because you could hear us going step to the left, okay, lift up, okay, stop, okay, don't die. In order to make up for this, I just muted everything and I put in some background noise. I used the most random noises you could think of. I used like spaceship noises, volcano noises, I don't even know, some laser stuff. Again, there was really no plot to our short film. We just decided that the tone was gonna be a little bit like serious, almost like spy-ish. We didn't really have like specifics because again, it was more just like the technical aspects. So I decided to go with something a little bit more tense, I guess. I don't know. So all in all, we didn't make a masterpiece, but we did make progress, and I'm still very proud of that, and it can only get better from here. If you're watching this and you happen to be working on your own projects, or you want to be working on your own projects, comment below and let us know what you're doing to accomplish that and what you've learned so far, or what you're going to be doing to accomplish that, because we'd love to hear it and we'd love to all learn together. Thank you for watching this video. Like, subscribe, share. go make a movie.